Welcome back to another episode of Georgia Sports Nation. We got some more Hawks and Braves content on tap for you guys tonight. We're going to be taking a closer look at the Braves so far this week. They go into LA and unfortunately get swept, losing 3 in a row to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The offense really just never got anything going. Got to give credit to the Dodgers pitching staff there and that Dodger lineup, especially Otani and Mookie Betts and Max Muncy. Those three guys really took it to the Braves over in California. But the Braves bounce back. They come back. They sweep the Boston Red Sox. Vaughn Grissom back in Atlanta. He got a good ovation when he first came into the batter's box. And there's a funny, cool moment there from Vaughn Grissom in a story I want to share with you guys, written by Justin Toscano, beat reporter for the Braves. It's a really fun read if you haven't read it yet about Vaughn Grissom and how he was traded, the process that was like. We're also going to be previewing the Mets series, and anytime the Braves and Mets get together to do battle, it's a big deal. So it's going to be an entertaining series. This time up at Citi Field. Last time the Braves lost the series to the Mets. It was their first series loss of the season to those New Yorkers. So hopefully they can return the favor in their home court. Home field, and then for the last, I'd say, chunk or so of the show, discussing the lottery for the NBA, because that's on Sunday. Huge implications for what the Hawks are going to do this summer will take place during the lottery. So make sure to stick around for that at the end there. But without further ado, let's get into this Dodgers series, because we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and it's been the Braves offense. They have not been hitting the ball out of the ballpark like they have in previous 2 or 3 seasons. Honestly, most of the MLB homers are pretty much down. And I think you're seeing that this Braves offense, while a couple of guys like Orlando Arcia swinging a hot bat, you got Ozzy Albies, Marcelo Ozuna obviously still doing exactly what he's doing. You're seeing that those guys couldn't carry the offense forever. And, a couple games here and there where Marcel doesn't go 2 for 3 with 2 homers or something like that, the offense can struggle. And Acuna, Riley, Olsen, for the most part, those guys are still struggling. But I think Riley and Acuna are showing a bit of something to try to get back their timing. Acuna did hit another homer, and then Riley as well. But Olsen right now is having extremely bad luck, with his expected batting average being way higher than his batting average currently. The batted balls that he's putting in play, they are hit hard. A lot of them are. He'll tell you that he's struggling right now, and it's one of those slumps where you got to just work through it. Every time you're gonna go through it. And Brian Snitker had said something on the road trip after, I forget which game it was, but he said something along the lines of, this is what Matt Olson went through last season as well. Obviously, a little bit longer, but to begin the season after a really hot first few games, he had a cold stretch through May, through the beginning of June. And after that, you saw what he did. Set the single season franchise record in homers, had an MVP caliber season. Obviously, if Ronald Acuna didn't have the season that he did, Matt Olson would have been definitely top 2, in my opinion, in the MVP race alongside Mookie Betts, and obviously you got Freddie Freeman there in LA as well. So he's gonna get through this. I'm confident in Matt Olson. It's not a small sample size. Now, yes, he was probably due for a little bit of regression because last season was just such an unbelievable year. He probably wasn't going to hit those exact numbers, but not this low, where his OPS is below 700. That batting average has dipped down almost sub 200. And single-digit home run still for Matt Olson is probably not what you would expect going into June. So it's probably not the greatest if you're a Braves fan looking at this offense right now. But I have full confidence that it is going to turn around. And you did see that against Boston when they had a little bit lesser pitchers and the Braves were able to take advantage of it. The first game in the Dodgers series overall, it was pretty competitive. Obviously you had that second game of the series where it was 11-2. Bryce Elder, Tyler Glasnow. It was pretty much a slacking right there for the Dodgers. But the first game, it was a nail biter. You had Ronald Acuna tie the game up in the top of the 8th with tying homer to left field on a fastball up. And that swing from Ronald really looked like that compact, shortened to the ball swing that, Braves fans are really used to seeing Ronald do throughout the entire season last year. His strikeout rate is the thing that's been pretty alarming so far this year. And, with his speed, it's important that he puts the ball in play. You never know how many hits he could leg out in the infield, or, if he has a swinging bunt down the third base line, the third baseman's forced to make that play that he'll, bare hand and throw on the run. Those are difficult plays. You don't know how many hits that Ronald could have if he just makes contact with the baseball. And like baseball's saying goes, speed kills. So if Ronald is able to put more contact on the ball, he's going to have more opportunities to get on base. And that's, I think, the main thing for him. But it was good to see him get another long ball, because definitely the homers are falling way behind the stolen bases this season. Whereas last season, they kind of, they obviously you're going to get more stolen bases than homers from Ronald. But it was kind of an even pace, if you will. But this season, it's gotten off to a slow start in the power department for him. But good to see him hit that homer. But overall, in this first game, I thought it was pretty good. Andy Paez had a walk-off in the 11th inning. Shohei Ohtani tied it in the bottom of the 10th to put the Dodgers tied at 3-3. Now, Austin Riley said after the game that, top of the 11th, ghost runner on second. So runner on second, nobody out to start the inning. And the Braves have Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, and Austin Riley coming up. With the guy on second, nobody out, you've got to get those guys in, especially with those three guys coming up to the plate. And Ronald, Austin, Ozzie, they didn't get the job done. And he said after the game that they've got to do a better job. The Braves the Braves scored the run in the 10th, but so did the Dodgers. And they weren't able to do so in the 11th when the Dodgers bottom of the order, came through. So, I don't know. It was a little bit of a rough stretch from the offense overall in LA, but I think that inning kind of encapsulated most of this early offensive problems for the Braves early on in the season. And Southside says, yeah, the Dodgers series was rough, but I believe we'll win all the games at home whenever they come to Atlanta. Yeah, the Braves have always last season they did win that series in LA to really stamp their foot on the Dodgers in LA towards the end of the season. But overall, the Braves have really struggled at Chavez Ravine. And this series kind of reminded me of that. So, yeah, that was a little bit of unfortunate series of events there. But I'm not too worried overall about this offense. They're gonna figure it out. But do got to give credit to Andy Paez in the 11th with his at bat, because you saw him fight off a lot of pitches down and away. He was in swing mode, and I think CJ Nitkowski was talking about how he's a young guy. He's gonna want to be the hero in this game. And after so many pitches away from Jesse Chavez, Jesse throws a fastball in, and Paez just muscles it over the second baseman's head, Ozzie Albies, and that scores the game-winning run for the Dodgers. A little bit of luck there, but you also have to give credit to Paez because of the way that he battled and fought off some pitches from Jesse. The signature move from Jesse Chavez, those cutters away to righties, down and away especially, it's very hard to make solid contact with those, and he managed to foul them all off, got a pitch he could do something with, took advantage of it. So got to give credit where it's due there. But the main culprit in this series for the Braves were, like I said before the series started, the top 5 guys in the Dodger lineup. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Max Muncy, Will Smith. Those 5 guys that were supposed to do damage did do damage in this series, especially Ohtani. Ohtani had so many home runs, it felt like, in that series. And, he had the game-tying hit in the top of the 10th in the first game. In the second game, Max Muncy was the guy to really just put a hurt on the Braves. 11-2 final score here. And, he had 3 homers. Shohei Ohtani had 3 hits. And It was just bad on both ends for the Braves. Bryce Elder, after a great start against the Miami Marlins for his first start of the 2024 season, he's facing a little bit better lineup. Let's face it. In the Los Angeles Dodgers, he got knocked around, and on the other end, Tyler Glasnow for the Dodgers, he did their job. When one team has their ace, their top starter for, in this case for the Dodgers, Tyler Glasnow, going against the fifth starter for the Braves and Bryce Elder, you expect the Dodgers to win that game, and they did. So there's not much to go over in this game. Really, it was not close at all. At least this, if you want to take a silver lining, Ronald Acuna had 3 hits in this game. So it was a little bit of back to normal for Ronald, kind of getting in that rhythm, like I was saying before. Ozzie Albies had a 15-game hitting streak snapped, and then Austin Riley and Orlando Arcia had the two. They had the 2 RBI hits, but other than that, really nothing doing for the Braves in that second game of the series. Third game of the series, the Dodgers win 5-1, and it was the Shohei Ohtani show. Even though he's not pitching in 2024, he's still covering more than enough with the bat. 2 on the last game for Ohtani. But the thing is, for this game, the Braves had Max Fried on the mound. And when you have, like I said before, in game 2, Glasnow versus Bryce Elder, you expect the Dodgers to win that game. You expect the Braves to win the game when they have Max Fried on the mound and the Dodgers have James Paxton. Now, Max got off to a bad start. He allowed that homer to Ohtani in the first inning and in the 6th inning, but the Braves offense just never could get anything going this series. I mean, you look at across the three games in the whole series, they scored what? 1 run, 2 runs, and 3 runs. That's just not going to cut it. And no matter what you say for the pitching, game 2 aside, Max Fried kept them in the game for the most part, but could not pitch lights out like sometimes we're used to seeing from Max Fried. Bryce Elder struggled, and then overall, that first game was just one of those. The first game reminded me of a classic Dodgers-Braves game. Good pitching on both sides, timely hitting on both sides as well. Not too many big innings, and the Dodgers just it went their way. But overall, yeah, this series was kind of disappointing for sure. I wish the Braves would have at least gotten 1 in this series, but not to be outdone. They come back to Truist Park on after probably a rough flight from California. They come back and beat the Boston Red Sox 4-2 in the first game of a 2-game series. And I don't know how to say any more about this guy. The job that Marcell Ozuna is doing throughout this whole start of the season is just incredible. He leads the whole team in RBIs, average, and homers. If you'd have said he would lead the league in homers, I'd say there's a chance, but probably, you've got Acuna on this team. You've got Riley. You've got Olsen. Those guys have been more consistent in hitting homers over the last few seasons than Marcell Ozuna. No, Marcell Ozuna is blowing everybody out of the water right now. And absolutely, he is the team MVP. He's got to be in the discussion right now for National League MVP. I know they don't really give MVPs to DHs a lot. David Ortiz won one with his time in the American League, but it's very, very rare that the voters will give an MVP to a DH just because they're just that, a DH. They're not in the field. They're not impacting the game defensively. And many times with their speed on the base pass, they're not doing it either. Most of the times, designated hitter. They're more of those power type guys that are they'll hit for power. They won't hit for that much average. But Ozuna is doing everything right now. He's hitting for power, hitting for average, OPS, slugging, on base percentage, you name it. Whatever offensive category you want to discuss, Marcell Ozuna is absolutely crushing in it right now. So hopefully that keeps going. But also Riley, Olsen, Acuna, those 3 guys I'm looking at really get things going. Because, in the first game against the Red Sox, you had Ozuna with the homer. You also had Jared Kelenic hitting his first homer as a Brave in this series. And it's funny, he took a homer away from a Braves killer, Garrett Cooper. He's on the Red Sox now after spending most of his career with the Marlins before that. And Garrett Cooper sends a high fly ball to left field. Jared Kelenic is on the warning track by the wall. It looks like it's going to go, but he jumps at the last second, takes the ball away, and sorry if this is I just realized this is freezing up sometimes, by the way. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. I'm trying to fix this right now. But with that being said, Kelenic, I think, has been a pleasant surprise this season. He's been better than Duvall, I'd say, pretty easily. And honestly, I wish we could see him a little bit more. The way he was swinging the bat to start the season, his power wasn't there. We know he has some power. He had a 485-foot homer last season in Wrigley Field. But when he's spraying the ball up to all sides, the way he started swinging the bat in the 9-hole to start the season, I think that he's got a little bit go back to that approach. And that'll be what feeds the RBI opportunities for the guys like Acuna, Ozzie, Olsen, Riley, Ozuna, even down the line. And Orlando Arcia has been swinging a hot bag as well. Michael Harris has started slumping a little bit too. His strikeout rate and chase rate is really alarming right now. He's also beating the ball into the ground a lot. So after a really hot start, I'd say like 2.5 to 3 weeks first start of the season, Michael Harris has slowed down a bit as well. So hopefully you've got 4 key guys in the Braves lineup: Olsen, Riley, Harris, Acuna, who just is not swinging the bat. And these guys, yeah, they didn't win a game against the Dodgers, but they've been largely okay against the teams that they should be beating. Which, if you want to win the division, you need to be able to take care of business. I think the Braves so far have taken care of business, if you want to put it that way, as far as the teams that they are supposed to be beating. Yeah, and who isn't slumping? Ozuna, Arcia, Kelenic is swinging just an okay bat right now. Ozzie's not slumping. So really, the only guys are Ozzie, Arcia, Ozuna, Kelenic, and d'Arnaud has obviously cooled off from that homer happy streak that he was in a couple weeks ago, but he's not swinging the bat horribly. So probably outside of those 5 guys, everybody else is slumping, and the Braves are still winning the games they should. But to beat these teams that are really good, like the Dodgers, like the Phillies, some of these teams that'll be coming to Truist Park in the next few weeks, they're going to need their main guys to step up. And that's why you have to be able to just say, okay, weather the storm, take care of the games you're supposed to win, and then when those guys get going, that is when we really need to turn it on and win the games that that are coin tosses, or that you'll say this series is going to be close. So that's kind of my thoughts on the offense. Returned hitting homers in the first game. I already said Ozuna with a homer there. And they won the first game 4-2. Raisel Iglesias comes in, shuts down the door. And Joe Jimenez, I do want to shout the bullpen out a little bit here, because what Joe Jimenez has done since a rough start of last season, he's completely bounced back after the first 2 months of the 2023 season, carried all that momentum into this season. He's been incredible so far. So shout out to Joe Jimenez and a lot of the bullpen guys. It's unfortunate that Tyler Matzek had to go down on the IL. He had been really struggling coming out of the bullpen. His ERA was up to near 9, and the velocity was down. The movement just did not look the same for Tyler Matzek. And I don't want to say it because it just, it brings me a little bit of pain to say, but I think the days of Tyler Matzek being a elite reliever might be over. He had an amazing comeback from the yips, especially when he came back in 2021 and looked like one of the best, probably that year. But unfortunately, that Tommy John surgery last season, it doesn't look like he's just the same guy. AJ Minter still doing well. Raisel Iglesias, Joe Jimenez, Pierce Johnson on the IL. Hopefully that's nothing to be too concerned about, and he's back soon. But Ray Kerr, he comes up, and I thought he did I really liked the life on his two-seam fastball when he pitched in the final game against the Red Sox. The Braves shut them out 5-0, and this was a dominant performance on both sides of the ball from the Atlanta Braves that you're used to seeing. You've got Chris Sale with a 10 strikeout, 1 walk performance against his former team. Nick Pivetta took the loss, and the Braves got homer happy. Ozuna, 2 homers, and then Kelnick the homer as well, like I mentioned before. So this was one of your more classic Braves games. But what was encouraging was that Olsen hit the ball really hard almost each time at bat. I want to say everyone except one, he had a line drive. So hopefully that gets him going a little bit more. But on the pitching side, let's go to Chris Sale for a little bit, because there were some people I saw on Twitter who were concerned about Chris Sale. Obviously, he is getting older. The injury history has been there. But this guy right now is pitching to the tune of a 2.95 ERA. Dylan Lee, by the way, has been great out of the bullpen, 1.45 ERA. And then, like I mentioned before, Ray Kerr, I really like the life on his two-seam fastball. He came in, pitched the ninth, did a great job. And I wonder if we'll see him stick around for a little bit. And, I told you I was going to bring up a little bit of story here about Vaughn Grissom from Justin Toscano. And Vaughn said stuff along the lines of, like, he wanted to stay in Atlanta badly, but he knew the business side of baseball. And he literally told Alex Anthopoulos, like, kind of holding back tears. He was like, yo, Alex, I can pitch, bro. Like, he really wanted to be a Brave, and it's really unfortunate that he had to be traded. But, baseball, like we always say, like in the NBA, baseball's a business. And I think that he understood that well, even though he did want to be a Brave really badly. And he had really high words for Alex Anthopoulos. Even though he's on a new organization, he said Alex Anthopoulos is the best to do it. He was really happy to work underneath him, be a part of the same franchise as Alex Anthopoulos. So a shout out to Vaughn Grissom and how young he is with that approach, and to really just take in the moment and know that it's not always going to work out in the way that it looks. It's just, you got to give credit to him for that. So shout out to Vaughn Grissom. And if you guys didn't read that piece by Justin Toscano, highly, highly recommend doing it. He posted a little snippet of it on his Twitter a couple of days ago. But that was one of the better reads that I've read in a long time, just because the emotion from Vaughn Grissom, you could definitely tell with how he writes it. So definitely encourage y'all to check that out. But you've got, like I said in the top of the show, a series with the New York Mets coming this weekend. Starting tomorrow, you'll have Charlie Morton facing Jose Quintana. And I don't it's hard to really discuss Charlie Morton's season, because 3.5 ERA, he's been pretty good in that sense. The homers he's going to give up, but the walks have been the issue for Charlie Morton. And 13 walks to 33 for Charlie Morton. Like, when he's walking guys, that's when he gets into trouble, because, like I said on the show last week, he gives up a lot of homers, and he'll hit some guys with that curveball that he overcooks a lot. So, if it gets into trouble against this Mets lineup, who's been playing pretty well as lately, they're 18-18. Francisco Lindor has bounced back a little bit after a slow start. Pete Alonso continues to crush the baseball, and obviously Braves killers, Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, they're still there. So you've got a lot of those guys that have had success against the Braves before. So hopefully Charlie Morton can do well against the Mets tomorrow. On the other side, Jose Quintana, the Braves have seen him. The Braves have seen him before, and while we don't have the lineup stats yet for each person against Quintana, because they haven't submitted the cards, that's only in a day in advance. The Braves have killed left-handed pitching so far this season. We know, especially Marcell Ozuna does. Now, something that Ozuna does struggle with a little bit, though, is off-speed pitches. He'll get pitchers can get Ozuna, can to chase and be able to kind of get ahead of the count on him in that end. So Quintana probably is going to stay away from the fastball to Marcell. I'd look to see a lot of curveballs, off-speed pitches, pitches that they want him to expand the zone with, because anything in the zone right now, Marcel's just been crushing. So I think that's going to be kind of the approach you see from Quintana. And Olsen, I really want to see Olsen put some good swings against a lefty, because if he can do that, hit the ball the other way, hit some line drives to the big part of the field, I think that's going to be the most encouraging thing that we see from Olsen so far. And hopefully he gets out of this slump, because, like I said, the Mets have been playing good baseball. And while they're not the caliber team that the Braves are or the Phillies, they still have some good guys in that lineup. Francisco Alvarez, obviously, Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil, Pete Alonso, JD Martinez is back. So, they've got the hitters, but can the Braves pitchers shut them down is what we'll need to see. I think I'm pretty confident that the Braves offense finally found something, and especially hitting 3 homers against Boston yesterday was just huge. They had a homer drought for a long time, but hitting those 33 home runs in the final game of the Boston series was just huge for the confidence, for the mojo, just, everything around this team. As we move into the last subject here, I do want to speak a little bit about the lottery, the NBA lottery, because it takes place on Sunday. And by the way, we're hosting a Sports Ethos Atlanta Hawks space. Make sure you're following Ethos Hawks on Twitter. We're going to be hosting a space with Locked On Hawks host Brad Rowland and ATL and 29 host Glenn Willis. We're going to be discussing live reactions to the lottery, what goes down, what the implications will be for the Hawks. So make sure to tune into that at 8:30 on Sunday. But overall, this lottery, I think this is one of the most important off seasons, like we've said, for the Hawks in a long time. If they can move up in the lottery, get like a top 5, it's going to be huge. I think they'll look to trade the pick. I think they should at least look to trade the pick if they move up high in the lottery, because if they take like a project player, say like, to John Salon or Ron Holland, who's just 18 years old but has high upside defensive potential, I think that will be huge. And yeah, I've got to say this, but by the way, Sunday, happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I know it's an unfortunate timing that the lottery's taking place then, but yeah, happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. But back to the Hawks, I don't think they'll look to pick if they go to the top 5, top 4. And Ann says, if the Hawks have a top 5 pick or maybe even a first pick, would you trade it? Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, there you go. I would absolutely look to trade that pick. Still looking to separate DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, looking to build around Trae Young and trade DeJounte Murray, which is what most of the reporting suggests. Then you could package DeJounte Murray and Trae and get that first round pick or something like a top 10 pick. You're going to get a big return for that. Look at the teams that are flaming out in the playoffs right now. You've got Phoenix. They just hired. It looks like they're going to hire Mike Budenholzer to be their next head coach after they fired Frank Vogel less than an hour before the show started, actually. But look at the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, they're going to need to make a decision on those guys. I don't know if they can pay all those guys and really build a winning roster with competent role players around them. The New Orleans Pelicans, Brandon Ingram. The Hawks have already been in discussions with the Pelicans. That's been largely reported at the deadline, especially regarding DeJounte Murray. And you also have some free agents. Paul George is headed to free agency. Who knows if the Hawks, if they'll need to go into the luxury tax to do this, but who knows if the Hawks will make one last stab, really, to build a team around Trae Young and make this the last hurrah and try to get like a Paul George and build a great team to take that giant leap, because they need to. I've said it before, and I really think this is true. This is the last year that I think the Hawks front office has to build a great team around Trae Young. And Southside says the Suns said they're not splitting up or suppose or hope too big. They're not splitting up the big three. I think that's what you meant to say. That is, yeah, it's an interesting decision. Because they need to get some role players in there because they have no bench at all. they need to get some role players that they can count on in there. Losing Grayson Allen in the series didn't help them, but I don't think Grayson Allen would have avoided the sweep from the Timberwolves, who look just like world beaters right now. Defense is just insane for Minnesota right now. But yeah, I think if they get the high pick, the Hawks, though, they should look to trade it. Now, if they stay or unfortunately even drop, because that's possible, the greatest odds right now are the 10th pick for the Hawks in the draft. So if they get that 10th pick, I can definitely see them taking somebody around there. I think the Hawks will look to get a wing right now, just because say they don't get a Brandon Ingram, a Paul George, somebody that can go at the 3 and 4, you move DeAndre Hunter to the bench, then you need that position filled. Saddiq Bey is a free agent. He's not, and even if you re-sign him, he's not going to be available until the second half of next season after suffering that unfortunate torn ACL. So Hawks are going to have a hole there that they need to fill. I know a lot of Hawks fans have discussed, Donovan Clingan, Zach Edey, those types of centers. For me, I definitely prefer Clingan over Edey, but I think that the way that the Hawks go for a center is if they trade. If Atlanta looks to move their pick and move DeJounte Murray ahead of the deadline, they get a wing like Brandon Ingram or Paul George here, I do think they'll look for a big man in the draft. So it's more of, is Landry prepared to go after somebody and prepare for the future, or will they just base their pick off of what the roster looks like now? Yeah. And Southside says the Suns need a PG. Could you see a Booker or Murray trade straight up? I don't think DeJounte Murray and picks would be strong enough, honestly, to get Devin Booker. I think the only way the Hawks could get Devin Booker here would be to trade Trae Young. And I don't think it's a wise decision to trade Trae Young unless you're still wanting to be competitive next season. I think DeJounte Murray and Devin Booker, along with Jalen, Onyeka Okongwu, whoever you want to put at that 3 position, I think that's a great lineup. In Booker with Murray, that's ideal size in the backcourt. I really would like that pairing. But yeah, I don't see that happening right now for DeJounte Murray. I think next season that could be a possibility, but like I said, I've stated before, I don't think the Hawks should explore trading Trae Young until after this 2024-2025 season. But make sure if you guys have Mother's Day plans early, make sure when you come back to tune in to this lottery, because it has a lot of implications. It's going to be quick, and you'll see it during probably I think it's like during halftime of one of the playoff games. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Hawks end up and what pick they get, because like I said, the implications of that will be either trading it, picking, or who knows. The Hawks might even just say, get rid of all the picks and go get a superstar. That could happen too. The Hawks this is a wide open offseason for them, crucial to make some big decisions. So let's see what Landry Fields and the front office has in store for us. But with that being said, we're going to end the show right there. I appreciate you guys tuning into Georgia Sports Nation once again. Shout out to Southside and Maggie for jumping into the chat here. Don't forget to tune in next week, Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be here. We'll discuss the lottery, more Brave stuff, and some just what's going on with the Hawks if news happens then. So without further ado, thanks for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.